Edo Bay was just as Shiranui had described it, filled with ships emitting a thick odoriferous smoke. The ships were arranged side by side, almost like enormous whales resting on their stomachs. Strange, they resemble a magnificent foreign port.
いや、でかいにゃ。俺が持っちゃった船も相当やったけんど、それ以上にでかいぜよ。そう言うたら、ベルリーがこの浦賀に来てからもう15年になるのか。まあ、覚えちゅうかい。
Matthew Perry, an American naval commodore who, by written decree of the President of the United States, helped bring foreign influence into Japan by encouraging the opening of its port cities to trade. Right, encouraging. Well, no, I was a child then. The only recollection I have of that event is a neighbor I had who made a fuss over the whole thing.
あの頃、俺はちょうど剣術修行で江戸に来ちょってね。この目で黒船を見たがせよ。
Really? The look in your face tells me it still excites you. I can only imagine how you must have reacted then.
あの時はまさか日本がアメリカやイギリスみたいに黒船を手に入れるらて夢にも思わんかったけど。今は戦にしか使われちゃせんけど。黒船の本来の役目は戦をすることやない。
How do you mention how much better your life would have been if you had become a ship captain?
お、嬉しいにゃ。覚えちゃってくれたがかい。
Well, I never heard anyone with those kinds of aspirations before.
褒められ中がか珍しがられ中がかわからんけど。せっかくやけ褒められ中ってことにしちょくか。
A look of admiration stretched across Ryoma's face as he stared once more at the breathtaking row of ships. If this is not our ending, I don't know what is. Whenever Ryoma mentioned the ocean, his eyes lit up with a childlike sparkle. Somehow it always coaxed a smile out of me. Nothing. The joy in your face is unmistakable. I suppose I'm just glad that I was able to accompany you here.
So yeah, 今日におった頃、こうやって二人で川を眺めたことがあったね。
That was when you had first regaled me with stories of your life in Tosa, about your older sister and the rest of your family.
おばんは俺の話をよう覚えちゃってくれね。
How could I forget? That day was one of the best I've ever had. Our conversation mellowed, overtaken by the rhythm of waves crashing beside us against the clock. Against the dock, not clock. Whoops. Neither one of us spoke for a moment, but there was nothing awkward or uncomfortable about our silence. Just us and the sea. Until...
やっぱりおまんと一緒におると居心地がいいにゃ。おまんが素直やきと思うちょったけんど、それだけやないみたいにゃ。これが合ういうことやろうが。
What are you talking about?
おまんと一緒におるといつでも素のままの自分でおれるいうことよ。
What? You think too highly of me.
買いかぶりやないき。こう見えても人を見る目には自信があるきね。俺にとって最高の女は俺を自由にさせてくれる女なのよ。ほんまぜよ。
His sudden mention of what constituted an ideal woman got me to blush, though I tried to hide it. Was there a motive behind his decision to share this admission with me? Or was it simply an act of courtesy? Ryoma was several years my senior, a well-traveled adventurer who was far wiser than me. His compliments were likely just that, and I would be betraying myself to call something deeper from them. Please don't poke fun at me. Besides, the only reason the two of us are together is because we're working towards similar goals, right? From the moment the question escaped my lips, a bolt-like pain pierced through my heart. But there was a kernel of truth to it. For now, the two of us were engaged in a platonic arrangement, one born from mutual interests. As soon as Ryoma had finished dealing with Hakuoki, and I with my father, then it meant an arrangement had served its purpose, thus meaning our ties would sever. There was nothing I could do to guarantee Ryoma sticking around once we had dealt with the targets of our ire, and he would be free to go on living his life.
なんだ今のままの関係やったら物足りんってことかい
What? I didn't say that.
こんなに長い間一緒におるのに釣れないにゃ俺がこんだけ熱心に口説いて落ちんもんなら初めてぜよ
Like I said... Still, I was stuck in limbo, unsure whether or not taking Ryoma's word at face value was worth it. How much of it was heartfelt and how much of it was the same act he had used on red light courtesans? Perhaps I was too caught up in feeling vulnerable, or as Ryoma had put it, wearing my heart on my sleeve. I'm very thankful for all the help you've given me so far. For now, this is the best that I could respond with.
So, okay.
His voice dropped to a low pitch, and he ran his fingers through his dark wavy hair as a brisk gust of wind gently swept his bangs in front of his face.
おまんは察しがえき。きっとわかっちゅうがやろうにゃ。今俺が抱えちゅう悩み。
Like from... Like from how you want to... save Hakuoki? Find a way to save Hakuoki?
やっぱりおまんには何もかも見通しってことか。こりゃ一緒になった後、嘘をついてもすぐに気づかれてしまうろうにゃ。
Hold on. What do you mean by our relationship? The ocean dazzled with orange twinkles as the sun dipped into the horizon, which Ryoma and I observed quietly.
中岡の気持ちもわからんわけやないがよ。
Why is my arm itchy? Okay.
俺やち上司のやつらを恨んじょった時期があった。ゴーシの家に生まれただけでどういてあいつらから犬みたいな扱いを受けんといかんがなちにゃ。けんど今は西洋の国々が日本を狙う中、薩摩だの長州だの土佐だの上司だのゴーシだのこんまい反動詞のつまらんしがらみにこだわっちゅう時期やないがよ。けど恨みつらみ言うがなかなか捨てられんもんやね。
If there were more men like Ryoma leading the shogunate, or even the Satsuma Choshu domains, it convinced me to think that maybe our country wouldn't be suffering its current political disarray. Even Hakuoki, who was cut from a similar cloth to Ryoma, seemed more concerned with instigating a bloody revolution instead of ushering peace. The ideological disconnect was fraying our country at the seams, but there was no solution in sight. As I became consumed with grave thoughts, all of a sudden things happened. All of a sudden, an arm clad in a snug-tailored sleeve had wrapped itself around my hips. Ryoma? The act itself startled me, and my eyes quickly darted at Ryoma. Well! Ryoma wore a stoic expression that froze me within his embrace. By now, he was developing a penchant for grabbing me out of the blue, but it was something that still took some getting used to. This time, however, my heart felt ready to burst out of my chest, far more than in any of his previous attempts.
おまん、この間いいよったろ。中尾からを止めた後、俺がどうするつもりなかった。その時は何も浮かばんかったがやけど、ようやく一つ思いついたぜ。
Ryoma coolly nudged my chin upward with his fingers, and our eyes locked. I couldn't turn away, nor had I wanted to, and I began to drift into the warm pools of his irises. What is it? I eked the question out, but felt silly for doing so. He saw through me just as easily as he claimed I did him. Then,
船を手に入れて海の外に出たい。おまんとならどこまでも行けそうやき。俺と一緒に来てくれるかい。
His candid way of detailing the future he had envisioned for us was so honest and intimate. After all of this was over, Ryoma grasped into the hope that the two of us would continue our whatever this was. I stood in disbelief. As my heart skipped a beat, I felt speechless.
答えてや。俺のことどう思うちゅう。このままなし崩しにする優雅もできんことはないで。おまんの口から聞かせてもらいたいき。
Ryoma was perceptive, almost annoyingly so, but he exploited this trait of his through assertive negotiation. At this stage of our relationship, my feelings for him should have been clear as day. I want to go anywhere you go. Another day without your company is a day I can't bear to live. My intense longing to express my love for him had finally been relieved through my heart, though my heart could barely keep up. However, the manner in which Ryoma's eyes narrowed gave me the impression that my answer was inadequate.
俺のこと好きかい？
Color flooded my cheeks. By my inexperience with matters of the heart felt painfully exposed. The longer he stared into my eyes, the more I wished to do away with any further attempt at coyness. Yes, I do. More than you could begin to imagine. His eyes lit up as I muttered my response.
その一言が聞きたかったかよ。
Then he shut his eyes and pressed his face forward. What was he doing? My body was rigid as I closed my eyes. I took a deep breath, and soon our lips were locked. As we kissed, sparks tinkled throughout my body. All of my doubts seemed to vanish, as if Ryoma's heart was sending delicate signals directly to my own. Ryoma was voracious but gentle, barely containing himself as he guided my tongue in his warm mouth. At any second, I felt ready to melt into his arms. Or I could savor it, letting the taste of this tender moment burn into my mind forever. It was a sensation that was as frightening as it was addictive, but I craved it even before it was over. My heart, for the first time in ages, was satiated. Only with reluctance did I let Ryoma pull his lips away from mine. His smirk told me he took notice. What kind of man was I falling in love with? I was in a daze, spinning with all sorts of fantasies, despite the man of my dreams standing in front of me.
どういてあの時生き残ってしもうたのかずっとわからんかったけど、もしかしたらおまんとこうするためやったがかもしれんや。千鶴、これから先もずっと俺のそばにおってくれ。もう話さんき。何があっても、にゃ。
Okay. Ryoma's vow and the passionate kiss that preceded it turned the embers burning in my heart into roaring flames, and I nodded out of sheer joy. As we held on to one another, the sun had completely set, and we made our way back to my home.
遅かったじゃねえか。一体どこをほっつき歩いてたんだ。
Shiranui, I thought you were off fuck up nowhere. Why are you back? I need water. Shiranui?
まあ、てめえらのことだから、どうせ上野の出会い茶屋にでも出かけてしっぽりやってたんだろうが。
What? A Dei Chaya, a tea shop sometimes frequented as a romantic destination for men and women seeking an indelible rendezvous point. Oh.
何を言うがな。折れた女と相引きするがやったら、もっと場所を選ぶに決まっちゅうろうが。
Ryoma!
のろけやがって。やっぱり来るんじゃなかったぜ。
ここに何しに来たかな。俺らを冷やかしに来たがか。
ああ、昼間伝え忘れてたことがあってよ。お前ら将棋隊のことを知ってるが。
I'm scared now. Here we are, Shoki Company. I don't want to hear this, but I'm gonna hear it. The name sounds familiar, but I'm having trouble recalling who they could be.
確か、慶喜さんが謹慎しちゅうことに不満を持っちゅう一橋家の家臣やら、幕臣連中が作った集まりやったにゃ。
Hitotsubashi clan, a secondary branch of the Tokugawa family, of which there are 3. Before becoming shogun, Yoshinobu Tokugawa was a member of this house.
ご名答。そいつらが 上野に集まって江戸にいる新政府軍相手に戦を仕掛けようとしてるんだと。
Is that true? Then...
土佐藩がそいつらを鎮圧してって横槍を入れてきたんだが、長州としちゃ土佐に手柄をくれてやる義理もねえんでな。その申し出を突っぱねたらしい。何にせよ連中が名乗りを上げたってことは、お前の昔馴染みもまだ江戸に残ってるってことじゃねえか。あいつらとしても自分たちの手で戦をやらなきゃならねえ事情があるんだろうしな。
羅刹か。
多分な。
ありがとう。助かったぜよ。けど、なんでわざわざ知らせに来てくれたか？
高杉の遺言だからな。坂本は無謀な真似をするからたまには手を貸してやるってよ。
自分でも現実な人間とは思うちゃあせんけんど、さすがに高杉から無謀ち言われるがは心外ぜよ。
そんじゃ確かに伝えたぜ。せいぜい頑張りやがれ。
Shiranui shot us a slight grin before spinning on his heel and exiting from the house.
上の地言いよったにゃ。そこに中岡も姿を見せるかもしれん。近くを見張ることにするかい。とはいえ、今日はもう遅いし、明日以降の方が良さそうやにゃ。せっかくやき、一緒に寝るかい。
What? No!
なんぜよ。俺のことが好きながやろう。それともまさか祝言をあげるまでお預けや言うがか。
I'm not saying anyone's holding out, but I'm not ready for this yet.
気が乗らんち言うがやったら無理強いする気もないけんど、あんまり待たされるとこっちも我慢できんようになるき。覚悟しとけよ。
I know. My instinct instantly screamed vindication. Ryoma was playing me in the palm of his hands. Just then. Ladies and gentlemen, we have reached round 3. Ryoma?
いや、なんでもないき。ちと立ちくらみが。
Hell no, it ain't. He was guarded, trying to deflect from his obvious display of pain, but... Hello, round 3. The truth emerged as his hair faded into a shade of stark white. This must be bloodlust. And as we always say, we give him blood. Ryoma, drink my blood.
折れた女の血をすするち。それがどれば辛いことか。分かっちゃせんろ。
Uh-huh. I understand how you might feel, Ryoma, but still...
悪い。責めるような言い方をしてしまった。それを貸してくれ。傷なら俺がつける気。
His expression warped, and I almost mistook his frantic gesture as an attempt to confiscate my kodachi. But I trusted him and handed him the small sword. Ryoma shakily slunk towards me, inching so closely I could make out the glisten on his damp skin. Then he loosened the collar of my kimono. Oh. In my heart, I knew that there were no malice behind his actions, that this was a method of soothing him. But staring into his eyes, those savage, brooding eyes, frightened me, and I could scarcely look back at him. Eventually, he drew the kodachi out from his sheath and placed its icy edge against my skin. And then, he made a small incision on my neck. His lips tickled me as they began to slurp. No, that's not all.
そうや。
Drops of blood trickled from out of the sides of his lips as he timidly posed his question. The ceaseless pattern of Ryoma inhaling and exhaling against my skin as he drank my blood entranced me. Why do I keep hearing things? What is going on? What is going on, actually? Never mind. Although Ryoma had made me well aware of his dissatisfaction with drinking my blood, it dwarfed in comparison to the relief I had felt, knowing that his pain would momentarily subside.